but these are big, they take up room in the first aid kit, but they can also squash and break and everything, so. But better than nothing. And I buy the smallest tube I can, you know, because you're not going to use the stuff in your first aid kit very often, you know, and it's all going to outdate and everything. So, you know, don't buy a huge tube of anything, you know, because, you know, there's a very good chance you'll never ever use it, but if you don't have it, you can't use it, you know, so you want to have it.
We were getting ready to go to Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
and we were looking at the antibiotic stuff that we had in our medicine cabinets. They were all out of date.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like, you know, is it good, is it not good, do we throw it away? And
Yeah.
we just took the newest of the old. So,
And truly, a lot, I don't think, you know, outdates, basically what outdates mean on medication and stuff when you see it, that's the date that they can no longer sell it.
right.
Okay? Doesn't mean that it suddenly lost 50% of its potency. It didn't happen, you know, so. You know, now when I was going through my stuff here, in my big group kit, you know, I found some Vicodin in there that I put in. I have absolutely no idea how old it was, so that got crushed up and I got rid of it because it could have easily been 12 years old. I have no idea how old it was, but you know, but it's something that I had carried in.
Right.
Larry, I got a box of those triple antibiotic packets through the mail, I think within the past year or so, and I think I got them from drugstore.com.
Oh yeah? Oh cool.
They carry it.
Cool. Well, we'll check
I
that
don't know
out.
where you'd find the little individual packets, so that's good to know.
That's where,
Yeah.
I think that's where I got it.
And I think also interesting, I would just throw it out if people are interested in these things is, you know, it's a neat idea if you got a group of people, you know, to get together and buy stuff and share. You know, like I went out to buy Benadryl, but I think a little Benadryl is fine to carry. But, you know, and I bought the smallest, cheapest thing that I could, and I still ended up with probably 24 to 30 Benadryl, but
Yeah, right.
I don't need it, I don't have room for it, you know, so, yeah. And the other thing is, with the equipment you have in first aid kits, you know, the only place you have to have sterile stuff is in the operating room, okay? Clean is fine, okay? You know, so again, instead of buying expensive packages where you're paying as much for the box as you are for what's in it, of sterile, individually packaged gauze pads, for instance, you know, get a bunch of people together and buy a bulk pack of them, divvy them up between the two of you, put them in a Ziploc bag, and they're going to stay clean. You know, they really are, and they're going to be fine. You know, again, you know, you're out in the woods, you know, that's going to be cleaner than anything else you got. You know, your snotty, slutty handkerchief is not a good alternative to, you know, the gauze pad that you got in the Ziploc bag. It's nice and clean. You know, but share, you know, share the price, share, you know, and buy it. When you buy a first aid kit, quite honestly, I think the most important thing that you should look for is the carrier. Because if you come up and look at my first aid kits and look and see what's in there, ain't nothing like what it was when they came to me, okay? You know, they're really convenient carriers. I love this one. This is one of the oldest ones I have. I got this from Eastern Mountain Supply, and I love it because it's got all kinds of pockets and stuff to, you know, to put instruments and things in. It's awesome, and it's not that big. If you saw it when it's all folded up, it's about that thick, you know. But this is probably, when I was doing a lot of hiking and stuff, this is probably the kit that I used the most because it was a reasonable size, a reasonable weight, and it
Looks like you do half a deck.
well, just about, yeah, I got anything you want in there, and again, you know, feel free to kind of look through and see what's in these things. This kit here, again, kind of the same thing. It's got a lot of stuff in it that never came in it. This kit, if you can see that, these, if you're looking for first aid kits, these adventure medical kits, they come in all different sizes. And I think probably are one of the best first aid kits that you can buy commercially. And I think you can get them through Campmore. These kits were designed by Eric Weiss, who I met years ago. He was one of the movers and shakers in the Wilderness Medical Society. He was director of the ER at Stanford, I think. And he designed these. And he also, I don't know if they even have it anymore, he had a really neat little wilderness first aid book, but it was a little tiny thing about that thick, you know, very practical, because I got all kinds of wilderness first aid things, but I ain't gonna take them with me, and you know, because they're books, you know, they're just way too big, you know. Even the Bible of the Wilderness Medical Society, which is a really cool little book, got a lot of information, it's too big, you're never gonna carry it with you, and you're never gonna memorize it, you know, so I think it's kind of a useless book. Eric's little book is kind of neat, I like it, you actually could stuff up the first aid kit without taking out too much room. So in any event, you know, when you get a kit, if you're like me, you want one like this that's got all kinds of gadgets. Now when Mary went out and got her kit, she just got bags, you know. And I will tell you, if you look at Mary's kit, these are the ones that we have for hikes. This is not mine, this is the chapter's kits. I want you to look at it. Did you do all the first thing, or did Jane help, or who all?
I did that, but you gave me a list.
Yeah, but in any event, you know, this is a really good first aid kit for hikes, for group hikes. Look at it, you know, because it's got everything that you'd really want for a group hike. You know, it'll cover almost everything as well. So when you're going out on a hike, you really need to think about who you're with. You got a bunch of young kids, do you have some old farts? You know, if you're a group leader, you really want to know who you got, and it's worth asking. You know, do you have a diabetic in the group? You know, I can tell you from personal experience, you can get into trouble with diabetics. I can recall myself on the towpath down in Ohio. I barely made it into the campground. I was dragging my ass because I just said, this is a short hike. I don't need to carry my kit with me. I'll just walk it, you know, and left my fanny pack in the bus. And by the time I got there, Brian Pavick had been there and been shoving gummy bears in my mouth. I wouldn't have made it to the bus. I mean, I was so hypoglycemic by the time I got there. It was bad, you know. So, you know, you really got to be prepared for situation. So, you know, if you've got a, you know, especially like me, if you've got an insulin-dependent diabetic in the group, yeah, you really need to be carrying, you know. It doesn't have to be glucose tablets. That's what I have here for your demonstration. These are nice raspberry flavored glucose tablets. You know, 2 or 3 of these will shoot you right up. You know, they're great. I used to recommend instant glucose, which I think is, practically speaking, if it wasn't in a first aid kit, a better product, because they don't even have to be awake. You can just squirt instant glucose in the side of the mouth until it absorbs through the mouth. However, when I was looking at my kits before the conference last year, I pulled out my tube of instant glucose, and it had turned brittle. The bottom of it had broken off. The instant glucose had spilled out all over everything and crystallized. You know, and I said, well, maybe that's not such a good thing to put in your first aid kit. So now I'm pushing glucose tablets. You know.
My understanding, I may be jumping ahead of myself, my understanding is if you have a diabetic, sugar is probably, whether it's either extreme, sugar won't hurt if they're, you want to give, how do I say this?
If they're in trouble, you want to get...
If they're in trouble, if you give sugar, it's better than nothing, because that probably will help, but even if they are on the other end of the extreme, it won't hurt them necessarily.
Probably won't hurt.
Is that?
That's pretty safe in the situation that you're talking
in an
about.
emergency situation.
Yeah, you have the two extremes of high blood sugars,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and then, you know, the other extreme is low sugars. And trust me, you feel worse with a low sugar than you do with a high sugar,
Okay.
you know. I mean, somebody that's having going into diabetic ketoacidosis, they're sicker than shit, you know, and they're dehydrated and everything, you know, But the thing that you're going to run into more likely is somebody that's hypoglycemic because they didn't eat enough, or they took their usual dose of diabetic medication, and then they got out and exercised like crazy and dropped their sugar down. Yeah, they're going to get sweaty and shaky.
So if we have somebody who's a diabetic and we're out on the trail, it wouldn't be bad to give them sugar.
No.
And usually that would be
Because
good.
somebody that's at the other extreme, it's never even gonna be going out with you anyway. Because they're
Okay.
really too